Hell yeah, motherfucker.
You're listening to Movies with Ron, the podcast where my older brother surprises me with a movie he saw because I don't go see him anymore. And he explains the whole thing to me from beginning to end. If you're listening right now, trust me, you'll like his versions better. It's okay if you've seen the movie. It's okay if you haven't seen it. The experience is unique, so just trust me. And hey, if you're on iTunes using iOS Podcasts app and you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. All right. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Remember it?
Yes.
Yeah. Fucking good movie, man.
Absolutely.
Fucking mixing the live action with the animation, creating a little world where, like, please, Eddie. That movie has the most gruesome death I've ever seen in a movie. And it's not gory.
Oh, yeah.
But it's gruesome and it's horrific, and it shouldn't have been, like, in this movie. It's too cruel.
Which one?
It's when he picks up the shoe and puts it in the dip.
Yeah.
What's his name? Christopher Lloyd?
Judge.
Yeah.
Judge Doom.
Judge Doom. And he just wants to illustrate to the other cartoons. And this is a world that has established that even a shoe that has like an eyes and a mouth, like even an inanimate object given life in a cartoon form in this universe, like has a moral compass, is able to relate to others. He just takes this shoe and just makes it suffer and like erases it from existence.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
it has that like look of horror in its eyes while it's dying.
It's horrific.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad it didn't seem that way when I saw it as a kid.
Well,
like I didn't make that connection.
Back then, us stupid humans wouldn't make the connection.
But they fucking did that shit.
That was kind of scary. I gotta be honest. I was a kid.
Bring me some dip. Dip.
I don't want to drink.
You do.
I don't.
You do.
I don't.
You don't.
I do.
You don't.
I do.
You don't.
When I say I do, that means I do.
I don't want the drink. He doesn't want the drink.
Jessica Rabbit was based on a real person.
Really?
Yeah, I just learned this like the other day, which is so weird that you brought this up. Vicky Dugan, 1950s It Girl.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
What? The Peep Show on Movies with Ron.
She got famous for wearing these custom dresses in the 50s where she popularized back cleavage, where there was like no back on her dress, even to where it would go down and show butt cleavage. People like wrote songs about her and shit.
Oh, wow. She's cute.
Right?
Oh, wow. My God. Okay. Jessica Rabbit.
She just didn't have gigantic boobs. But she was still the person, like, the woman who would walk down the street and fucking wolves' eyes would come out and their jaws would hit the ground and their tongues would roll out.
Yeah. I see what you mean about the butt cleavage.
Yeah.
That's a little... It seems like it was extreme for its time.
It was. It was.
I'll post it on the social media. Vicky Dugan.
Vicky Dugan.
You know who always gets described as Roger and Jessica Rabbit, like in real life?
Who?
Okay. You know Christina Hendricks.
Oh, yeah.
You know, beautiful. She's basically Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah.
She's married to the kid from Super Troopers, who is in the back seat
Yeah.
of the pothead's car.
Uh-huh.
And he's like,
Are you fucking serious?
Yes.
Snozberries taste like snozberries.
Yeah. He's the one eating all the shrooms in the weed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Candy bars.
Yeah, they get described as that. Speaking of Super Troopers, in a couple months, the trailer for Super Troopers 2 comes out.
All right.
Yeah. Jay Chandrasekhar, the guy who wrote and directed them, he plays the guy in Super Troopers who's like, everyone thinks he's Mexican.
Yeah.
That dude.
Who wants a mustache ride?
And they're all part of Broken Lizard, you know, a good comedy group. Reading an interview with him, and people are asking, what about Beer Fest 2, or what you hinted at, Pot Fest?
Uh-huh.
And his reply is, Not until I make Super Troopers 3 Winter Soldiers. But yeah, I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
I love Super Troopers.
Yeah.
He said that they never get tickets anymore.
That is so cool.
Wow.
I've heard the Venom movie described as sci-fi/horror, which would be cool. Wouldn't you want a horror movie? Like these
Yes.
superhero movies messing around with genres?
Absolutely.
Do like a horror-centric one.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. But Venom, it's supposed to be sci-fi, horror, action, I suppose.
Nice.
Yeah, they're kind of teasing it that way.
Okay, I couldn't see it as anything else. Like Avenger type movie, journey of somebody, whatever that thing. But horror. Yes.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Seen the new trailer for It? Everybody's talking about it. We should too.
Yeah. I think it looks good.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited.
Looks great.
I like the way they're teasing Pennywise, you know?
Oh yeah, man.
Not showing the full thing, but
Yeah.
just enough where you're like, holy shit.
He looks scary, man.
Oh, yeah. Hey, there's a movie called The Big Tits Dragon.
I want to see it.
It's
Googling.
It's called the Big Tits Dragon. It's from Korea or Japan, something like that. Here, the cover is 3 hot chicks. They got weapons, chainsaws, and swords.
And big tits.
Here's the synopsis. A medieval Book of the Dead is discovered in the catacombs that run under a small-town strip club. So I guess the strippers are
Yeah.
the main character. The Big Tits Dragon. That's what they called this movie.
There's also this.
Big Tits Zombie.
Yep.
Jesus. All right. You guys seen that new picture of Vulture? Michael Keaton as
No.
Vulture?
No.
They've made him look like Bane. He just looks like Bane without the mask. The big jacket with all that frilly fur underneath.
Yeah.
You know, you can just put that on your bad guy, and you got a bad guy. Yeah. Like,
I've oftentimes considered getting a big frilly jacket. Because, damn it, if you can't look like a badass good guy, look like a bad guy.
Ron, did you see my recommendation?
No. Is it another,
It's a French movie.
is it a depression festival like your last recommendation?
What was that?
Like an out of the furnace?
Out of the furnace.
It
This
was
one-
like this. It was like, hey, you guys want to talk about cancer? Which is ironic because you did talk about cancer earlier in the episode.
It's called Inside from 2007. It's French. It's about, it starts out as kind of a depression fest. A pregnant woman gets in a car crash.
Oh,
Her husband dies in the crash.
yeah.
So she's left a widow. And so she's like pretty much at home. You know, she's got a friend that stops by. I think it's her dad, maybe her father-in-law. But there's a woman that's like stalking her. And the woman ends up trapping her in the house.
Oh, my God.
And most of the movie takes place inside the pregnant lady's house and with a crazy lady trying to get the baby out of her belly.
Wow.
Yeah. And like you can imagine like the pain this woman has already been through with that car crash and stuff.
Yeah.
Like she can put up a fight. But this movie is it's so thrilling. At some point you're like man, somebody's got to take this bitch down, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
At some point it involves a car pulling up and 3 young athletic guys get involved in the situation and they are in the house and you're like, all right, they're going to shut him down. Nope. Like, holy shit. Something happens, and I realized I'm afraid of knee injuries because of this scene where a dude gets stabbed through the back of the knee with a pair of scissors, and you can see it poking through the front. Yeah, it's like they push the gore at you,
Yeah.
but it's more than just gore. This is like this movie's a ride, and it's French, so yeah, you got to read it. But it is a visual movie, so if that's not your thing, still, give it a chance. It's called Inside, and it being a horror movie, the best twist happens, and it involves like a possible justification of the bad guy in this movie.
All
but
right.
you got to watch it
Okay.
and find out.
Time Magazine released a list of the 50 best podcasts this year.
Yeah.
It's actually 50 best right now. We're not on it.
Damn it.
You know what is?
What?
How did this get made?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They love talking about movies.
Yeah, they do.
They're movie stars, though.
Yeah. So then Dennis Janssen, our man in Amsterdam, tweeted, I support this message. I also miss Comic-Con Store podcast, Major Spoilers, Movies with Ron, and the Geek All-Stars in this list.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah,
Hell
thanks, man.
Good looking out, buddy.
Thank you, man.
So the last episode got me wanting to watch more Phantasm.
Yeah?
So I watched yesterday. I watched number 3 and number 4. Oh my God, man.
Yeah.
They're so bad.
I know, right?
God. And like, I want to say, like, because I really love James LeGros in the second one.
Yeah.
Doing a little more research. You know what? So does everybody else. Like, the world was okay with it, turns out. And only that one actor who plays Mike instead of him, like, only he hates him.
Uh-huh. But he's not an actor.
He's not. Oh my God. His acting in these movies? Garbage. It's fucking garbage, man.
Well,
But here's the other thing. It's like, number 2 was so well executed compared to the others, all right?
yeah. It was good timing.
Yeah, and it had, Universal was all over it. You know, they were really exerting a lot of control over Coscarelli. So in these next 2 sequels, they weren't, right? Because it was all independent. And they suck. So I'm like, he should get his, like, old producer back or something from the second one. You know, I don't know. And, like, Mike, as he's walking around, he's, like, wearing a black T-shirt, black jeans, and a black jean jacket. And I don't know, I got the feeling that he was like, this is what Mike would wear. Like I don't know, man. I feel like Michael Baldwin might have like he was being a crybaby because he thought he knew best. I have nothing to back this up. He just seems like a crybaby.
Like Coscarelli had to be like, all right, man, all right.
Yeah.
You know, I think Mike should be a character like this, you know?
No, I don't think so. I feel like he would just be like staring straight forward and then kind of like curve his mouth up to the right. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what Mike would do.
Take a babushka, put it on that actor. He looks like Mrs. Doubtfire. He's got a chin that I'm sure he has to put on every morning.
Hey, you know, I'm just glad the second one had an opportunity to be made.
Me too.
Like, I didn't take it personally about all the other Phantasm movies. And like, I don't even really like the first one. The second one is just,
Tits.
we're lucky to be around when that was around,
Yeah.
you know? So you saw Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, man.
All right. I was never a big fan of the anime.
Neither was I.
I thought they made the marketing stuff interesting enough. Like, I wanted to think, hey, maybe this could be good.
For this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. They did a good job.
All right, cool.
Now,
But we don't have that perspective of,
right.
did they do it right?
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's movies with Ron, so if it's a good movie, it's a good movie.
So the movie is Ghost in the Shell?
Are we recording?
Yes. I like the game. I don't like the movie.
That game was good.
Yeah, it was.
It was. It's just Grand Theft Auto, but you're driving around in like a red beetle thing. Insect. You
I
know?
liked it. This, whatever the fuck it is, it's another excuse for seeing
Does she get in a big red insect looking thing?
No.
Ah.
Scarlett Johansson close to naked. That's about it.
Nippleless.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Done with it.
She's
Yep.
wearing a suit, right?
No.
That's just her naked?
Yep.
All right. So she's
She
more
wears
like,
clothes.
She's
but
more like synthetic.
And that's why all of her enemies are shocked. Because they're like, oh, tits.
That's like fake skin. She's like a super soldier, right?
The only thing real about her is her brain.
Okay.
I thought you'd seen the anime.
I think I have seen it once. I can't remember a thing about it, though.
I played the game. The game was awesome. The game was cool as shit. And she was clothed. You know what? Scarlett Johansson could have gotten away with some clothing.
All right, let's do this shit.
All right, Ghost in the Shell on Movies with Ron. Ready, Rick?
Ready?
So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different logos that happen at the beginning of this movie. They're all really long. So then there's some text crawl. And it's like, in the future, humans can enhance themselves. And, jump higher, fuck harder,
Yeah.
see in the dark. There's a company called Hanka Robotics that's doing all this stuff, right? And they are on the cutting edge of about to splice humans with machines in a way that no one ever has.
Uh-huh.
They're going to put a human brain into a robot. So it fades from black into light, and we see from the viewpoint of this girl who's on a gurney. She's being wheeled down a hallway by some red-clothed scientists. And everybody in this movie has, like, something cool and technological about them. Like, these are just, guys pushing her down the hallway, but they got these visors over their eyes that are like, streaming stock market crap. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like vital signs and stuff. It's weird.
All right.
This movie is half that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, whoa, look at that. So there's like a computer voice saying like, robot skeleton awaiting brain. And, they're putting a brain in this robot.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the brain goes into the skeleton, and then the skeleton floats in the air. It's a metal skeleton. Then it floats over to the right, and it goes from the side into a tub of red goo. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And as it's in the red goo, that's what gives the skeleton its muscle. Okay. Which is just transparent red goo.
Okay.
Then it rises up through the top, and across the top is a white skin. And it comes out of that surface, and now it has its robot skin on it.
Oh, there you go.
Then all of that white crap flakes away, and then underneath it is fucking Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, okay.
And she has flesh. She doesn't have any nipples on her boobs. And there are what looks like seams all over her skin, like removable panels.
Okay.
Bunch of lights are flashing, and then, whatever, Scarlett Johansson is born. Okay? Then it says, Ghost in the Shell.
Sweet.
So then she's laying there, and she's underneath this plastic sheet, and they rip it off. And then she can't breathe. She starts to, like, take her first breaths. And she's like, and the scientist lady who's, like, building her, I guess she's like, come on, just breathe. It's okay. Just breathe. Just breathe. Do you remember anything? Do you remember your accident? And Scarlett's like, no. I mean, sort of. I was drowning. But that's it. Why can't I feel my body? And she's like, oh, yeah, sorry, honey. We couldn't save your body. All we could save was your brain. We've given you a new body. So only your brain is in this robot body. But don't worry, because of your brain, your soul, who you are, is still here. Your ghost.
Oh, okay.
So then it cuts to that doctor lady talking with this guy who is like, he works for the Hanaka Corporation. They're the ones funding this whole operation.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I want her put into the Section 9 program immediately. And she's like, no, don't. And he's like, we own her. So then it says 1 year later, and we learn what Section 9 is. It is it's a section. It's a group of like super soldier assassins, okay? Special forces people. They can do protection, they can do assassination, whatever. So we are now in Neo Tokyo, where everything is flashing lights and giant holograms walking through the city. Okay?
Floating billboards.
Yeah. And up on top of the roof is Scarlett. And in this movie, her name is Mira. So she's just standing there, and she's spying with her super robot vision down into some conference room where the president of Africa is meeting with a dude from the Hanaka Corporation, played by that scruffy voice guy from The Crow. I've had enough of this. Kill him.
Yeah.
He's still alive?
The sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh, no, Alan Rickman was the sheriff of Nottingham, wasn't he?
He was his lackey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's all hold a moment of silence for poor old Tintin.
Okay, so Mira, being an android, she can, like, monitor data transmissions and stuff, just, like, all the time.
Uh-huh.
She can also see X-ray and crap like that, so she's just, like, standing up on top of the roof, and she's like, somebody alert the president's men. He's being watched. And then we see this group of assassins coming into the building, going up to kill the president of Africa.
Okay.
So they're infiltrating, and in the meeting, there are these creepy geisha robots walking around. You saw those in the preview?
Yeah.
They're weird. And they're like pleasure bots. Yeah. So the president and this dude, the scratchy voice guy, they're talking about robotics or something. He's trying to sell him something. And then the geishas go crazy and they attack. And they start, killing other people. And then the important ones in the room, they're like, everybody has got these two little holes in the back of their neck for, like, enhancing your brain and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like downloading the French language and things like that. So their faces open up, all creepy, and then they shoot all these wires into the backs of these people's heads. And then you hear this guy go, initiate the hack. So they're hacking these people. Stealing shit like thoughts and memories, okay?
Okay.
Secrets. We see a shot of this hooded villain. He's the guy who said it. He's like the bad guy of the movie. So then Mira, who is also known as Major, she has like 18 names in this fucking movie. She jumps off of the building and she falls, free falling, and it's all cool looking. And her boss, the boss of the Section 9, played by the one and only Takeshi Kitano. Remember him, Chris?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, he's the big boss. He's like, I didn't give you permission to jump. And she just jumps anyway. So she falls down, she crashes into the window, and she's invisible. She goes cloaked. She can do that.
Mm-hmm.
With her robot skin. And she crashes into the window and then starts killing everybody. And it all goes into slow motion so she can do a whole bunch of substandard Matrix maneuvers.
All right.
Like, as long as I'm running in slow motion, I'm running along the walls. Anyway, she kicks everybody's ass and then grabs... okay, so the one geisha robot, geisha bot, has got the scratchy voice dude and has pulled him up into the corner of the room, like the upper corner, like a spider.
Yeah.
And she's just downloading all of his secrets and stuff. And the Major just has to shoot it.
Yeah.
The guy ends up dying. She gets over the geisha bot and she's like, who sent you? Who sent you? And it's like, oh no, please, please. I don't want to die. Help me, help me. And she's like kind of staring at it like, it's a robot. I'm a robot. I should feel sorry for it.
All right.
And then the hooded guy's voice comes through and he's like, collaborate with Hanaka Robotics and die. So they're all done and all of her other team is coming in cleaning up the mess. And we see that she has injured her arm. It's not bleeding or anything, but like some of the robot skeleton is exposed.
Yeah.
And they're going to take all the dead bodies back to their Section 9 base, I guess, and she's staring at the geisha bot. And then her buddy, her partner, who is the white-haired dude in the previews.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not the same. And then she just leaves. And she's all pissed off. Shows her at home, and she has to squirt this liquid crap into the back of her neck. For some reason, which we'll find out later. Then she looks over at a part of her apartment, and then a cat appears in like some sort of glitch in her vision. And it's like, meow, meow, and then it glitches away. So she's like staring like, what the hell was that? All right.
Yeah.
So now they're being debriefed on the whole operation. So then the big boss Takeshi walks in, and we find out that other high-ranking members of Hanaka have been hacked and murdered.
All right. Is that their company?
No.
Okay.
They are just Section 9, but the Major, Mira, is on loan from Hanaka.
Okay.
She's actually their property. So they learn the name of this mysterious hooded figure who's doing all this hacking. His name is Kuze. No one knows who he is. So then Big Boss Takeshi is like, go find shit out. So they all leave. But before they do, he's like, Major. She has to go and have a meeting with him. And he's like, I told you not to jump. What the hell's going on here? She's like, I don't know. I'm a robot. Do what I want. And he gives her some speech like, our uniqueness, when we see that as a virtue, then we can have peace. Then it cuts to her driving around the city with her partner Batu, the white-haired dude. And they're driving around holograms and giant geishas and monks walking around in the city and fish floating in the air. I don't know. Anyway, she's talking with her partner. He starts asking her about her past. And she's like, yeah, no, it's my parents died when we came to this country. We were on a boat, and then it was blown up by terrorists, and I nearly drowned, and they could only save my brain. That's why I'm in this body. So he's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then she's looking to the side, and then she has another glitch, and she sees just in the middle of the city street, this weird-looking pagoda just appears, and then it disappears, and she's like, shit. So it cuts to her with her doctor lady who built her, and she's repairing her screwed up wrist. It was damaged in the attack.
All right.
She's like, anything else happening? She's like, yeah, I've been getting glitches. And the doctor's like, oh, okay, well, let me take a look at them. And she just plugs her in and then reads everything she can see or think on a screen in the form of code.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, like a cat? Oh, all right. She's like, do these glitches mean anything to you? She's like, no, not at all. She's like, all right, well, keep taking your medicine, and we'll just see how it goes. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and delete the glitches. Is that okay with you? I need your consent. And then the Major has to say, I am Major Mira Killian, and I consent to these deletions. So then she fixes her wrist and she leaves. So now her and Batu are going to the coroner's office to find out about these dead terrorists and the robo-geisha. But the geisha is so screwed up from all the bullets, the coroner's like, it's going to take me weeks to sort through this programming because of all the damage. Batu is like, we don't have weeks. And then Mira's like, I'm going to have to do a deep dive. And they're like, whoa, you can't do that. That's dangerous, The hackers, they could have laid traps in her programming and everything, Whoever hacked her will be able to see you. And she's like, I just have to take that chance. So then she gets on a table next to it and jacks into it. And then it just looks like her falling into some water and down into some darkness. And then she floats down into a world of blue matrix code. But it's blue. And she can see shadows of memories from this robotic geisha. And we see when a whole bunch of those geishas were kidnapped.
Yeah.
And then hacked and reprogrammed to go and do all this assassin shit. And then she sees that hacker, the hooded hacker. And then the hooded hacker looks at her. And then he starts hacking her. And all it looks like is all of these black bodies in a sea of them. They just surround Mira and they start pulling her down into them. And it's really scary and claustrophobic looking. Mm-hmm. She starts freaking out. And then on the table, Batu sees her just twitching and going crazy. And he's like, get her out, get her out. She comes out. I guess she's okay. And she's like, I know where he is. Because she saw him.
Yeah.
So now they're going to raid this nightclub. All right. And they got this thing called mind comms, where they can just think their thoughts and everybody else can hear them.
Uh-huh.
So they don't have to be talking in front of
certain people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get inside the club. Her and Batu are talking over the mind comms. And you see everybody in the club is enhanced. They all got robotic jaws and robotic hands and, all sorts of weird eyes. Batu goes into the bathroom. He's standing at the urinal. And then some woman walks up next to him and pees into the urinal.
Huh.
She's enhanced.
With a dick.
So she's walking around the club. So Mira's walking around the club, and she gets pulled aside by some baddies, all right? And they're like, oh, look at you, whore. Come in here. Tell us what's going on. Why are you here? And they're all, giving her the breeze.
Yeah.
asking her why she's here. She won't tell them, and they're like, okay, if you won't talk, dance. And they start shocking her with like a cattle prod. It looks like it really hurts. Mm-hmm. And she starts crying and everything, and they're like, come on, dance, dance. And she's like, oh, no, that's just it. And then she gets all serious and goes, I wasn't built to dance. And then kills all of them. Right then, her partner gets attacked out in the club. So there's all this slow motion, matrix flipping and firing machine guns. But it's all pretty cool looking, you know? And Mira ends up going into this back room, and she finds the hooded Kuze, all right?
Yeah.
The hacker. All of a sudden, she gets this glitch of another pagoda. The same one again, but it's burning this time. And then it disappears, and the hooded figure's standing there, and he just says, collaborate with Hanaka Robotics and die. And then he, like, disappears in pixels, okay? Like he was a hologram himself. Mm-hmm. Batu runs in there with her, and then there's this big fucking explosion, like a bomb goes off. And Batu is, like, screaming bloody murder. She kind of took the brunt of the blast for him, but he's holding his eyes like they've obviously been burned out of his head or something. Cut to Mira being repaired by her doctor, and there's a whole lot of damage to her now. But they just, you know, some robotic arms are moving back and forth over her and putting back all the red gel and then the white skin. Mm-hmm. The doctor is like, yeah, when I was looking through your programming, I found a whole bunch of more glitches. She's like, yeah, they're coming on pretty strong now. She's like, well, since when? Since the deep dive that I made. She's like, you can't do that shit. Now you're compromised, you know? Like, he could have hacked you. She's like, I could repair your body, but I'm worried about your mind. So then she's all repaired, and she's walking to go find Batu. She finds him, and he's sitting in some, like, chair in the hospital, and he's got this...
Oh, this is where he gets the weird eyes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He gets little camera lenses instead of fucking eyeballs.
Wow.
And she's like, yeah, well, you chose those? Because he could have gotten normal eyes if he wanted. And he's like, yeah, now I can see an X-ray, I can see far, and all this infrared, you know? Mm-hmm. I can see like you now. So then the guy who was like, I want her in the Section 9 program as soon as possible. His name is Cutter. He's like the Hanaka representative that always talks to Section 9. And he's an asshole.
Okay.
He goes into the big boss, Takeshi, and he's like, yeah, man, she did that deep dive, and I hear that you're okay with it, so I will burn Section 9 to the ground if you do anything else stupid like that. Big boss is like, I answer to the Prime Minister, not to Hanaka. Be careful who you threaten. Big Boss Takeshi actually only speaks Japanese the entire movie.
Okay.
So then Mira's walking through the streets, and she buys herself a human hooker. Mm-hmm. They're in her apartment, and all she does is just like... she just like rubs her robot fingertips across the girl's lips, and then on like the skin around her eyes, and she's like, how does that feel? I think that's all she wants to know. Wants her to describe it to her. That's all we see anyway. And the girl's like, it feels, I don't know, nice. What are you? So then it cuts to the coroner, who is going through this geisha's programming, right? In the programming, she finds a list of all of the other Hanaka targets that have been killed by Kuze.
Yeah.
And she's like, holy shit. And then she turns around. Oh, there's Kuze. Right there in the room with her. He like grabs her by the neck. And he's like, tell me what they took from me. And she's like, I don't know anything. And then he rips her fucking eyes out, which are just a cartridge in the front of her head. And he kills her. So anyway, they find out that Kuze is after everybody who worked on this secret project. Mira's looking through this information that the coroner had found, looking at all these targets, and finds the next target is her doctor. So she's like, holy shit, find her! And then we cut to these two garbage men just sitting in a garbage truck talking about their life. This one guy's talking about his daughter and how she plays violin and it sounds like shit. And then all of a sudden their minds get hacked. Because everybody's enhanced, right? Everybody's connected to the net somehow.
Yeah.
And then the doctor is like riding in her car and she's giving notes to her assistant and stuff like that. And boom! It just gets hit by this garbage truck. T-boned. These garbage men just get out of the truck and pick up some machine guns. And they go and they kill her assistant. And then one of them is standing over the doctor. And he's like, tell me about 2571. Tell me about Project 2571. Tell me everything. Do you want to die for 2571? And she's like, oh, God, oh, God. And right then, the rest of Section 9 shows up in a big truck. They all come out and there's this huge firefight, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's all badass. They kill one of the dudes, but then the other one runs away, and he starts running away cloaked. Okay, he's kind of glitching in and out of invisibility.
Yeah.
Does a bunch of parkour crap. He escapes. The only person that could follow him was Mira. And then we get to that famous scene from the anime, and then it's a big moment in the preview where he's standing in the middle of this giant puddle, maybe like 8 inches of water, and then he just gets the shit beat out of him by this invisible force, which turns out to be Mira, who is herself cloaked.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's all pissy with him. She's about to kill him or punch him to death. And then Batu shows up. He's like, we need him alive. Hang on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So then we cut to the interrogation scene of that guy. And they got him standing in this cube, this clear cube. And Mira is walking around him inside the cube talking to him. And he's like, what are you talking about? I haven't hurt anybody. You know, I got a daughter. I really need to go get home to her. And then Mira's like, oh, really? Yeah? You have a daughter? You know, you live at such and such. She gives an address. She's like, you've lived there alone for 10 years. He's like, no, I don't. I have a daughter. She's like, is this her? And holds up a picture of him. And he's like, yeah, that's her. She's like, really? That's her? He's like, yeah, totally. And you could tell that he's just like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It turns out that he had a false life implanted into his cortex or whatever by the hackers. So he literally does not know what he just did to her doctor.
Okay.
He's going crazy. He's like, no, you got to believe me, guys. You got to believe me. And then Mira just disintegrates in pixels. She was just a hologram inside the box with him. And the real Mira is standing outside the box with the big boss and everybody else. Right then, the guy's all freaking out, and then he just stops freaking out, and he gets all quiet, and he just stares at Mira. Everybody's kind of talking amongst themselves, and Mira's like, it's him. She walks up to him on the other side of the glass, and he starts talking to her. It's Kuze talking to her through this garbage man. So she's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm shy. I'm not beautiful like you. I was born more than once, so I have more than one name. And right then, they are like trying to trace his signal and where he's broadcasting from.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, we got it. We got a location. And then the guy just dies. Guy standing in the box. So now the Section 9 assault team is going to find Kuze because they had a trace. They're going in to get him, and they're walking into this weird little like opium den or kind of a computer hacking ring / coke plant, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
All sorts of illegal shit is happening inside. You know, and the sets in this movie they were great. All the effects, really great.
Yeah.
So they all go in there. They're all talking to each other on the mind comms, and there's this huge fight. There's white mountains of cocaine blowing around everywhere. Reminded me of RoboCop a little bit. So Mira descends down into the bowels of this building by herself. She goes to the exact location that he was broadcasting from, and all she finds is a room full of like 75 bald dudes just all sitting in a big circle with wires coming out of their necks. And she's like, oh my God, okay, this is why we're never able to find him. He has got his own network made up of human minds that he has constructed. Yeah. Like he doesn't operate within the normal internet or whatever they have equivalent of.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets that fiery pagoda glitch again, and she's wondering what the hell's going on. But this time we see like a rough soldier dragging a little girl out of the burning pagoda. So Mira's still walking through the bowels there, and then she gets attacked by a few dudes who are like shocking her, and they actually do take her down. She wakes up, and they got her tied up, and she's connected through her neck into all these weird cables as well. And then the hooded guy, Kuze, is walking around, and he's talking to her, and he's all like, his voice is all glitchy, like he stutters, but like a computer stutter. She's like, who are you? And he's like, I am that which you seek to destroy. Talks like Max Headroom.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was really fascinated by your code when I saw it inside of that geisha. He's like, we are the same. She's like, no, we're not the same. And then he pulls off his hood, and he's got seams in his skin too, just like her. And his body is like all fucked up, and he's walking around limping and everything, and it turns out he tells her that he was like their first attempt at making what Mira is.
Okay.
But they told him that his mind wasn't melding with the machine good enough, so they would have to discard him and move on. So they tried to kill him. So he's been going around killing all of these Hanaka people, and he's been asking them all, like, tell me what you took from me. He lost his memory as well, but he's been getting these glitches.
Okay.
She looks at him, and he has tattooed onto himself a burning pagoda. And Mira's like, whoa, what the hell's that? He's like, I don't know what it is, but it haunts me. Okay. Does it haunt you? And she's like, yes.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, yeah, don't take the meds they're giving you. That actually suppresses your memory. Okay, I'm all fucked up now. But maybe if you stop taking them, because obviously you were a success, maybe you can gain back all the memories and you can help me as well as yourself. Right then, the team busts in. Batu sees what's going on, and Kuze just turns and starts shooting at him, and he escapes. But Batu sees Mira, like, let him escape. Like, not shoot him or something. Then it cuts to the doctor, and she's in bed. She wakes up, and Mira is just standing over her, staring at her. She's like, what are you doing? You're scaring me. She's like, how many were there? How many before me? And the doctor gets all serious, like, oh, shit, she found some shit out. She goes, dozens. Yeah, no. How many? And the lady goes, 98. It's like, holy shit. She was like, you killed 98 people? She's like, no, I didn't kill anybody. No way. Well, then where'd the bodies come from? That you got these fucking brains from? She's like, I don't know. They were always provided by Cutter. You know, that Hanaka asshole?
Yeah.
She's like, my parents. Did they really die in that accident? That bombing? She's like, no, sorry. That was a false memory that we implanted. That was Cutter's doing. He wanted you to want to fight terrorists so that you would do well in the Section 9 program. And Cutter, for Hanaka, wanted to, he just wanted to create super soldiers that he could control.
Yeah.
But because of the human element, the human brain in the android, the ghost in the shell, that was the unpredictable element. So Mira's like, hey, I found him. I found Kuze. You knew him, didn't you? You built him. You knew who he was this whole time. So she's like, fuck you. And then she leaves. And she goes off the grid and nobody can find her. Big boss Takeshi is like, yeah, she is off the grid. I don't know, man. And Batu is like, no. I know where to find her. And then it just cuts to Mira laying at the bottom of the sea in the harbor. And it's all dark and scary looking. Yeah. And there's jellyfish floating all around her. And she's just laying on the bottom. Then she stops and she swims up. And there's a boat, like a fishing boat. On the boat is Batu. He's just sitting there in a chair with some fishing rods and drinking beer. She's like, are you here to take me in? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just here to fish. And he's like, hey, what's it like down there? She's like, it's cold and it's dark. And it's 1,000,000 miles away from everything. There's no voices. There's no data streaming. It's totally quiet. It is nothingness down there. She's like, it is scary. And he's like, well, then why the hell do you do it? She's like, because it feels real. They talked a little more. He was like, wow, why didn't you kill Kuze? She's like, I don't know. I think I might trust him or whatever. But you know what? I need you to take me back. Take me back. There's some things I need to find out. So she's back on the grid, and then Cutter sees where she is, and he's like, I'm bringing her in. He sends all of his security goons, and she just walks right up to him and lets him take her. So they strapped her to a stretcher or something, and they're wheeling her down a hallway. Mm-hmm. And she looks over, and she starts glitching, and sees other people in this glitch that are on stretchers as well, like a guy and a girl, and they try to hold hands, and then those red-suited scientists like push their hands apart.
Yeah.
So then Cutter is talking to her lady doctor. He's like, I need you to download everything from her about this Kuze guy, and then, you should probably just terminate her. She's like, why? I can fix her. It'll be fine. He's like, no. You'll just build another one. It'll be fine. I'll get you another one. So the doctor is like all conflicted because she likes her.
Yeah.
Now they have Mira strapped down to a stretcher in some room that Cutter, can see through a two-way mirror. And Mira is like heavily sedated. Doctor goes in and she's about to load the poison into this injector gun. And she's talking to her and she's like, what are you going to do? Doctor's like, oh yeah, sorry, we're going to have to terminate you. You're deleting everything? I'm not okay with that. I am Major Mira Killian, and I do not consent to this deletion. Then we see the doctor puts the red poison vial down and secretly puts a yellow poison vial in. So she injects her with it, and then she puts something in her hand. She's like, Mira, wake up. This is your past, okay? This is your real past. Now go! And Mira has actually been injected with the antidote to the sedation. So then she breaks all of her bonds and gets out and she fucking escapes. And Cutter is pissed. Mira is like running through the hallways, just like mowing through goons and guards. And the doctor is just still standing there in the hospital room. And Cutter looks at her through the glass and he's like, yeah, see, that is a problem. That is the problem with having a human heart. And then he points his gun at her through the glass and he shoots it once and it doesn't go through. Then he shoots it twice and it does. And kills her.
Jeez.
So then Mira escapes and she's driving through Neo-Tokyo on a motorcycle. So then Cutter is talking to the Section 9 people and he's like, yeah, she's gone crazy. There's no more Mira. You don't have her on your team anymore. And don't worry. You don't have to find her. I'll find her myself with my own men. And Batu is like, what are you going to do? Well, we're going to terminate her. You can't kill her! And he's got these little camera eyes. So any drama that he acts out is just lost. Also, when he's wearing the camera eyes, he looks like that actor from Avatar and Don't Breathe. Yeah. He just looks like that dude. Wearing sunglasses. Cutter leaves, and then Batu looks at Big Boss Takeshi and he's like, so what now? And then the Big Boss just pulls his own gun out and puts it on his desk. It's time to go do some shit. So then Mira is walking around. She's walking around some random apartment complex. She's walking around, there's a door open, and then a cat comes out. And it walks up to her and starts loving on her. And she's like, oh, look at you. She's petting it. And then this nice lady walks out. This nice Japanese lady. And she's like, oh, well, she likes you. Who are you? Why don't you come in? Come in and have some tea. Just invites her into her house. Mira's looking around and she looks into this one bedroom. And it's like a little girl's room, but everything in there is totally covered and wrapped in plastic. And she's like, huh. And then the lady's like, yeah, that was my daughter's room. She actually died a year ago. And then Mira's like, well, how did she die? She's like, I don't even know. The government sent me her ashes. They said that she took her own life, but there's no way I believe that. She was so happy. She loved it. She actually had run away and she was living in the lawless zone, with a bunch of other runaways. And they all lived there because they hated this technology thing. They hated enhancements. They were against it. And then one day the police came and then they all just ran. But she was fearless. You actually remind me of her a little bit. And Mira's like, how? How do I remind you of her? The way you're looking at me. I don't know. Who are you? And then Mira just looks at her and goes, I don't know. And she goes to leave. And then the lady's like, wait. Would you please come back and see me? And she's like, yeah, sure. So she was just talking to her own fucking mother.
Yeah.
It's weird. And a little bit sad. So Mira leaves and then she's talking on mind comms with her big boss. She's like, yeah, all the different people that were killed and their brains were taken for this program that Cutter's doing, they were all runaways. And Cutter killed all of them. And he's like, yeah, but can you prove it? She's like, oh, the doctor can. My doctor totally can. And he's like, well, she's dead. And Cutter says, you killed her. She's like, well, I did not. And then the big boss is like, I'm going to go and meet with the prime minister. And Cutter will go down for this. He'll answer for his crimes. And then it cuts to Cutter listening to that conversation. Hacked into the mind comms. So then later that night, the big boss is going out to his car. Just leaving for the day. You know what's going to happen. And then all these thugs come up and they just fill his car with bullets. They just turn it into Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
And then the big boss just gets out. And turned out he had used his briefcase. He'd opened it up and then shielded himself.
Uh-huh.
And he gets out and he just kills all of them. And then he says, do not send a rabbit to kill a fox. He's a badass himself.
Yeah. There you go.
So then Mira has now gone out into the lawless zone. They did not really explain that at all. I guess they don't really need to. But that's where there's nobody lives out there. It's like the cursed earth in fucking Judge Dredd. So some goon tells Cutter, yeah, we found her. She's out in the lawless zone. And he's like, is the spider tank nearby? And they're like, yes, yes. So it cuts to her, and she's in this old building. She's walking around, and in the center of it, she finds this old burned-out pagoda.
Oh.
Walking through it, she starts glitching hardcore, because now she's not taking her meds anymore. That liquid crap she used to squirt into her neck.
Yeah.
And she sees what happened, finally. There's a whole bunch of kids, and they were all living there together as runaways, and then Cutter and all of his forces came in and just raided them and just took them all away.
Yeah.
Turned them into robots.
Robots. And then Mira's sitting here, she's looking at the walls, and there's like names written on them, and like little handprints. And then behind her shows up Kuze. And he's like, you're here, you found it. She's like, yeah. This is it. We used to live here. We lived here together. And he's like, yeah? Because he doesn't have all the memories. He's like all fucked up.
Yeah.
She reads the names on the wall and she's like, yeah, your name was Hideo. And he's like, oh, wow. What was your name? And her name was Motoko. And it turned out that they were a couple of little Japanese kids.
Mm-hmm.
So they were taken, their brains were harvested, and then put into beautiful blonde white bodies.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, jeez.
So that's how they dealt with the whitewashing of Asian characters in this film.
You are now American.
So then Kuze looks at her and he's like, oh, well, you know what? All right, okay, come with me. Join my network. Be a fucking terrorist with me.
Yeah.
And we can take them down and avenge what they've done to us. And then, boom! Fucking explosion rocks the whole house. And here comes the spider tank. Which I think was also pretty famous from the anime.
Oh, it was. It was also famous in the game. That's
oh,
what
yeah? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
No, this is not a little red beetle bug.
No?
No. It's like a giant fucking tank on 6 legs. Or 8 legs. I don't fucking know.
All right.
Okay.
And,
like Wild Wild West?
Sort of.
Did it skid?
No.
Skid.
It was just lumbering around. Pa-blink, pa-blink.
All right.
The tank in the game, it skid, and that was the cool shit about it.
Sounds cool.
It was very cool.
All right.
PS1. The good old days.
So they gotta hide from it. And it's blowing shit up. And it's just it against the two of them. And it is just rocking the house. We find out that Cutter has taken control of the tank. And he's like, he's in his office, but he's piloting it remotely.
Oh, man.
What?
Just like this asshole.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. So Kuze, he gets like his feet blown off and he has to just like sit in the corner. And Mira's like running around fighting it. And she has to do all this impossible running tricks. She's running up some catwalk. It's It's blowing everything up behind her. It's trying to drop big chunks of concrete on her. Tank walks up to Kuze and just points its gun right at his face. And he's just sitting there taking it.
Yeah.
And it's just about to blow him away, and then Mira shoots at it from far away. It turns around, and then it gets her in its sights, and it's like, target acquired. And fires a bunch of big fucking missiles at her. Huge explosions. And Kuze's like, no! Because then she's dead and she's gone. So then it turns back to Kuze and sends a little robot claw out and grabs him right by the face. And picks him up off the ground and like, shakes him around. And then Cutter is talking to him through the radio, and he's like, yeah, you came close, freak. And he's just about to crush his skull or something, and then all of a sudden, ping, 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 it's getting shot at. And it turns out that Mira isn't dead. She was just cloaked.
Yeah.
She's standing on top of it, shooting down into the brain box of this robot tank. That doesn't work. So then she reaches down, grabs it with her hands, and just starts fucking pulling, and pulling, and fucking pulling. Pulling so damn hard, her arms start breaking. Okay? One of them actually, like, rips right off. But she does pull open the brain box and then kills the tank.
Sweet.
So now the tank is dead, but she's just, like, laying on the fucking ground with no arm, and then her other arm's, like, all fucked up, laying right next to Kuze. They're just motionless, and they're looking at each other, and Kuze's like, come with me. And she's like, no, I'm not ready. Right then, Cutter has sent like a little weird hover plane full of his goons to go and get him. Go finish the job that the tank couldn't take care of. We see one of them taking aim at the two androids with a sniper rifle. And then Kuze looks at Mira, and he's like, I'll always be with you in your ghost. And then, boom, gets shot in the face. And Mira's like, no! Cutter's like, what are you doing, man? Keep firing. Kill her, too. And we see Big Boss Takeshi, and he's like, have you found her? Is she safe? And now all the other Section 9 dudes, they've all made it out there as well. And then one of them takes aim at the plane with his sniper rifle, and he's like, she will be. And then he fires one shot at this plane, and the plane goes down. Like he knew right where to hit it. So then Batu shows up and goes out to get her. And Batu's looking at her, and he's like, so, what's your name? I hear you got a different name. And she's like, Motoko. Fucking Scarlett Johansson. So then the big boss is in the same room with Cutter, back at the headquarters.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, yeah, I've just left from the Prime Minister. You're under arrest for murder and manslaughter and all kinds of shit. Crimes against the state. And Cutter's like, you'll never take me alive, asshole. Tries to shoot at him. Takeshi gets him and, at gunpoint. Disarms him. And then over the mind comms, he's like, Mira, I have Cutter. Is there anything you would like to say? And Mira's walking and she's like, yeah, I am Major Mira Killian, and I give consent for this deletion. Right away, Big Boss Takeshi, boom, boom, blows Cutter away, kills him.
Sweet.
Yo.
Then it shows Mira, or Motoko, in a graveyard. And she's looking at her own gravestone. And then that old lady walks up and is looking at her. And then Mira's like, you don't have to come here anymore. And the old lady just goes, I know. So then we get a little voiceover from Scarlett Johansson. She's like, my name is Major Mira. My ghost is real, but my body isn't. I am the first of my kind, but I will not be the last. And it shows her she's on another mission already for Section 9. And she's just like she was at the beginning of the movie, standing up on top of some building. And then the big boss is like, you have my permission, jump. So then she jumps and free falls. And the very last shot we see of her is her going cloaked. She goes invisible. And then the credits roll, bitch.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, good lord.
Great reaction there.
Cool. It was cool.
It was pretty entertaining. A lot of it was visual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some special effects, that kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. Heather loved it. Oh, I forgot to bring this up. Our nephew Julian was in the theater.
Oh, really?
shit.
Yeah. I saw him while he was on his way in. He was like, "Hey, Uncle Ron." I was like, "Hey, man, give me a hug." He was with a couple of his friends. I hope I embarrassed him.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps it up for Movies with Ron. You can catch us on the World Wide Web on Twitter, at Movies with Ron,
And Instagram.
and on Facebook.
Yep. Facebook page.
Yeah. And movieswithron.com, just period, on the World Wide Web.
Yeah.
So basically, round and about, you can just find us round the corner.
All right, folks. It's been fun.
Yep, we love it.
Take care.
Movies with Ron.
Who is that cunt?